Hello everyone. So in the second video, we will learn about the basic operations in R, that is addition, multiplication, subtraction, and all those things. We will also learn how we can input data manually into R as well. If we have an external file, how we can input data from an external file into R. So for the first thing, let us start R. So previously I mentioned that we can either use R or RStudio, but from today onwards, we will work everything on RStudio. So click on RStudio from your start bar. And once you click on that, it takes a while to load. So once you click on that, so you can see that console, the environment and the files option opens up. To open a script, you need to go to file, new file and an R script. So all your computation, all your computing things are done in the R script. The one below that is a console, that is all the outputs shows up in the console, and whatever plots and whatever things that you do, it shows up in this file option. So let's give an example. So if you're adding some numbers, you have numbers 2 plus 3. Now if you highlight that, that is if you use shift and any of those arrows, right or the left arrow, and highlight that and press your run button, in the console, it gives answer or the output to be 5. So 2 plus 3, the answer is 5. So you have entered over here, that is 2 plus 3, and then the output shows up to be 5. Similarly, you can do some kind of multiplication operation, that is 2 plus 3. There is another shortcut as well to run. If you're using a Windows operating system, you can use Control and Enter to the line 2. So I'm over in line 2 over here, line 2. On line 2, anywhere on line 2, if I do Control and Enter, it automatically get pressed. That is a run button automatically get pressed. So 2 plus 3, that is equal to 6. So we have 2 to the power of 3. This will give you the number to be 8. So 2 exponent 3, this will give you to be 8. And we have 2 divided by 3. If you run this, then you have 0.6667. So these are the basic operations that you can perform in R. Now we can do some more things as well. First and foremost, we can comment something. Suppose I want to write that we are inputting a vector, input a vector of elements. What does hashtag shows? If you have this hashtag, this implies that this is just for readability purpose. R won't execute these lines. So the ones that is been hashtag, it is been commented out. So R will not read that. It is only for the readability purpose. So we can input a vector of elements. Suppose we have the height of a person. So we know the height of, suppose 10 persons that are 70, 75, 80, 95, 50, 78, 77, and 82. So we have over here 8 people, and the height of these 8 people are given over here. So this vector height contains the height of 8 people. So 70, 75, 80, 77, and 82. So this is the height of one group of people. Similarly, we can have the weight of the same group of people. So the weight, to write the weight, we should always write that using C, and then in parentheses we can write the numbers. So over here I use the left arrow and a small dash. Instead of that, we can also use an equal to sign. So weight equal to, now you just plug in the numbers, whatever numbers that you have. Suppose the numbers are 150, 160, 170, 190, 220, 200, 175, and 180. Suppose I have the height and weight of this group of 8 people. Let me calculate another variable, suppose HW. What is HW? HW is the height and height divided by weight. So to do this, to perform this thing, we can write height divided by weight. And if I press the control and enter, we can store these values in HW. Now, if I run this, if I now write H and W and then again run it, I get the height divided by the weight of all those 8 individuals. So we have this number 0.467. How do we compute this 0.467? So 0.467 is nothing but for the first person, the height of the first person divided by the weight of the second person. To obtain the value of 0.6467, that's 4687, it is nothing but the height of the second person divided by the weight of the second person. So in this way, we get this new variable height HW, which is nothing but the height over weight of that person. Now, suppose I want to create a data set in R. How can we create a data set in R? So next we will be creating a data set in R. Again, the one in hashtag R does not fit that. That is only for readability purpose. So if someone else is looking at your code, he or she can get an idea what is being done over here. So next we will be creating a data set in R. Suppose we have the weight of a few people. So in this case, let us suppose we have the weight, the name, gender, and age of 5 people. Suppose the weight of the 5 people are 150 pounds, 160, 180, 210, and 188. Suppose these are the weights. Next, we have the age of these people. So age of these 5 people are 23, 41, 32, 58, and 26. So whatever the numbers that you have, the numbers are written as it is. So only they are separated by commas. So the age of 5 different persons are given as it is. Only thing is they are separated by commas. However, next I want to write the name of these 5 people. So what are those 5 people whose age and weight are given? So the name of these 5 people, these are written are actually in apostrophes. Why? Because these are not numeric. These are character variables. So in R, to write any character variable, you have to write this in apostrophes. So the first one is John. So John is written in apostrophe. Then I have a comma. For the second name, it is Bill. Again, it is in apostrophe, a comma. Next, we have Maria. For the fourth person, the name of the fourth person is Ben. And for the name of the fifth person is Tina. So we have the name of these 5 people. Now, since each of them are character, John is a character. It's a name. Name is a character variable. So basically, this name variable that we have is a character variable. So for any character variable, those are written in quotes or apostrophe, what you want to say. Next, we have the gender. So the gender over here is either male or female. Now, again, since it is either male or female, and male and female are character that does not contain any numbers. So M or F, whatever I want to write, that should be written under quotation marks. So John is a male, it's an M. For the second person, Bill, he is also a male, it's an M. For Maria, she is a female, so we have written an F. And please be careful that over each of them is within quotation marks. Then we have a M for Ben, and for Tina we have an F. Now, if I highlight all these four variables, weight, age, name, and gender, and run that, we can see that there is no error over here. So there is no error terms over here. Now, what happens if I remove this? What happens instead of this gender? I don't have this. I have the F over here, that is, which is not written in quotation marks. What happens if I run this? It gives me a value as well, but this value, it turns out to be numeric. So this is not a correct representation. So it's better to write this in quotation marks. Now, once we have these numbers, these are just the 4 variables that we have. This is still not in a data. This is not in a kind of a, it's not a data. So we need to have the name, weight in first column, the age in the second column, name in the third column, and the gender in the fourth column, or however you want to keep that. Now, I want to create a data set. So let me write this data one. In data one, I want to have my name as my first variable, the age as a second variable, weight as a third variable, and gender as the fourth variable. How to do that? To write this in this format, we will use a function called as data.frame. So if you write something, the beauty of RStudio is it automatically shows us what are the functions available to you. So we can write data.frame. Now, the order in which you want to see your data. So first you want to see your name of the people. Second, you want to see the age of the people. Third, you want to see the weight of the people. And lastly, you want to check the gender. Again, we will highlight this and run this line. So there is no error over here. And lastly, let us look at how the data looks like. So data one. So again, we will write this data one. So this is actually a calling function. If you write the same function, it gives you the result. And if you run this out, it will give you the name the way you want it. So we have name, age, weight, gender. Okay. So now over here, the gender for Tina is given as false, right? Because if you remember, I had written previously F like this. It was F was like this. So F was a false statement. If you don't have that in quotation marks, then F will be a false statement. So that's why we have false for gender. That's why if you want to write gender as male and female, you should always write that in quotation marks. Now I need to again rerun this one, the gender, and again rerun the data one, the data frame statement and the data one statement. Right now, if you check, it is no more false. So Tina is female. The gender of Tina is female and not false. So if I comment it out, if I comment over here for any character variable, the elements. So over here, male, female, John, Bill, these are elements of this variable. So the elements of this character variable. So the elements should be in quotation marks. So this should be in quotation marks. So over here, we have created a data set manually. And in this data set, the important thing is if you have a numeric variable, that should not go under quotation mark. If it is a character variable, that should be within a quotation mark. Now, suppose we have a data set given to us. For our case, let us suppose a data set that is a diamond data set. So that I have stored it this in my AF drive, this diamond data set. So let us look at this diamond data set. It is actually a CSV file. So the diamond data set has caret size, color, clarity, depth, table, cart, report, and the price. So we have a various things in this data set. So actually we have 8 columns over here in this data set. So we have 8 columns and the total number of rows is around 2690. So we have observations of 2690 diamonds. So we have the caret size, color, clarity, depth, table, cart, report, and price for this 2690 diamonds. Now how can we get this data set input into R? To do this, first and foremost thing is first we need to close this CSV file. First close out this CSV file and find out the link or find out the address where you have stored your data. So this is the address that I have, physical address where my data is stored. and it is stored as diamonds1 as CSV. So let me copy this physical address. Now, once I go back to my R Studio, so first we will be doing a dataset, importing a dataset, importing an external dataset. So we will be importing an external dataset over here. So to import an external dataset, let me write the dataset name as diamonds. So this is a dataset name that I am giving. So I have this diamonds. Now to import that dataset, we have to use a function that is called as read.csv. The first function that we have that is called as a read.csv. Since it was a CSV file, so we need to use the read.csv function to read this diamonds dataset. Now, what is this dataset? This dataset is in the F drive. So I will copy this physical address of this F mass 2600009 and put that under quotation marks. So first put a quotation mark and then enter the physical address that you have. Next, whatever the dataset name is, diamonds. So we have diamonds1.csv. If you look at this dataset name, the dataset name is diamonds1. So we have diamonds1.csv, and we need to change this web address. It should be a forward slash and not a backward slash. So diamonds equal to read.csv if the whatever the physical address is followed by the CSV file name. Now, if we run this, there is no error, right? So there is no error. So let us again call this dataset diamonds. Let's see how it is. This is a huge dataset. We cannot see this huge dataset. We don't know if we have done it correctly or not. This is it seems like we have imported, but it says that we have reached the maximum option. 2565 rows are being deleted or omitted, not deleted, it's been omitted. It is there in the diamonds dataset, but we cannot see that. To get a better idea of the rows and the columns, what we can do is we can write a head of diamonds. So this head function gives the first 6 rows of this dataset that we have imported. So the head of this dataset gives the caret size, the color, clarity, depth, table, cart, report, and price. So the first 6 values of this diamond datasets are shown in head. Similarly, we can get the last 6 rows of the dataset. To do that, we can use the tail function. So tail diamonds, this will give you the last 6 rows of the dataset. So we have the heads, we have the tail. The heads give the first 6 rows, the tail gives us the last 6 rows. So we can just gives the first 6 rows of the dataset. Similarly, the tail function, it gives the last 6 rows of the dataset. So the tail function, it provides us with the last 6 rows of the dataset. So today in this lecture, we discussed about some preliminary functions, the addition, multiplication, and all those things. If we can input a vector of elements, we can perform the same operations on a vector of elements. We can divide, we can add, we can subtract, we can multiply a vector of elements. We created a raw data set in R, and if we have an Excel file or a CSV file, we can also input that external file in R, and then we can work on. Okay, so that's all we have for today's lecture. Thank you for watching.